What's up, everybody? Geoff Cooper here. Welcome back to Blue Collar Heathen on YouTube. Today we're going to be sitting down with horror author Wesley Southard. Wes is a buddy of mine, and he's the author of The Betrayed and the new one from Deadite Press, One for the Road. During our discussion with Wesley, which was about 2 or 3 weeks ago, we were discussing a work that he had in progress. And through our conversation, one of the problems that came up with working with the supernatural that I noticed was that it's difficult to close all those plot holes that it makes, because when you start working outside of reality, well, things happen. Often Wes turned to say, well, that's just kind of how the story's got to go, or it works for the story, which speaks to the whole suspension of disbelief, which is necessary when reading anything that includes the supernatural. Now, it's fine to enjoy it for a story, or to enjoy it over the course of a novel, or even a series. But suspending one's disbelief when it comes to text that is supposed to be informing your worldview, that's a bit of a problem. So for part 2 of exposing supernatural fiction here on Blue Collar Heathen, we have this conversation with Wes Southard. Let's get this done. What we're doing with this series, what I'm doing with this series, and I talked with Bob, going to be talking with Brian, Robert Ford, Brian Keene, we're going to be talking with Summer Cannon on here too. Okay. Is we're discussing with writers, right, specifically writers, the supernatural, what that means to them and how they use that in their work. Okay? And how this goes is really going to depend on, what we uncover here. Because, we've known each other for a bit. We're going on,
probably about 10 more years.
I was saying we're going on about a decade.
9 years, I think, this year.
Yeah. Because
it's 2010.
Yep. But we've talked around this, but I don't know that we've ever talked actually about this.
Right.
So, and I know you've used some supernatural elements, in short stories and in your work. Right. But I don't know what that means to you. So, why don't we start there? What does the supernatural mean to you?
Supernatural is just something that I think it's so fascinating to me. It's something that I really truly want to believe in, mm-hmm. but I find it fascinating enough to want to study it quite a bit and to put it into most of my writing.
Right.
But it's something that I personally have never encountered, and I've always wanted to encounter, but I have a hard time really truly believing in something that I can't touch or feel or see with my own eyes.
Okay, all right. So interesting, but have never actually experienced it yourself. Now, you said that you've done research on it. What kind of where does one go for research for that? When you say that, what are you going for?
Researching, just if I'm researching, my novella Closing Costs is about demonic summoning, so I had to do some research on, I guess, the proper ways of doing that and how to prevent it, how to cause it, how to send the demon back to hell.
Okay.
And even my novel The Betrayed is a fairly religious heavy novel, so it's about I had to do quite a bit of research through the Bible,
okay,
and finding different stories that would be able to work for that as well.
Okay. All right. So, I mean, is that like one of your primary sources? I mean, say for other supernatural events, like we know the Bible with the for the demon bit. Okay, you know, I can grant that. That clicks with me. But I'm wondering, like, what else? Other than that. What type of research have you?
I'm a fairly heavy reader to begin with, so I read. I'm not going to say exclusively horror fiction, but I read mostly horror fiction, so it's easy to get ideas off of other people and to play off of the tropes and the things that already exist in the fiction. So it's easy for me to be able to pull from different sources like that.
Okay. All right. Now, so you have used it, you've done the research on it, but have never experienced it.
Right.
Okay. Have you attempted to experience it at any point? Gone to things like, here where we live, they have like, the haunted this,
right.
The seven gates of hell or whatever it is. That bit.
I've noticed since I moved out to Pennsylvania from Indiana that people tend to be more open about the supernatural elements of this area. They have a lot of local legends here and a lot of things like that there may have been more out at home back in Indiana, but I just never heard about it much.
Okay.
So I think it's really interesting hearing more about it here. But I mean, I've been to haunted houses and I've been to different caves and places that I hear are haunted, like Ray Myers Hollow out here in PA. But I've never truly experienced
Centralia be another.
I've always wanted to go to Centralia. I just haven't been yet.
No?
I'm dying to go.
Yeah.
I'm really dying to go. But I haven't fully experienced it myself. But like I said, I'm open to it, and I want to see something like that, because I think at the end of the day, like, it would just make life more interesting. It would have things to think about, because like it's hard to believe. It's hard to believe that we would be completely alone in the universe, but I think it would be kind of interesting to maybe find out that we're not alone, obviously. So,
So when you say like the universe like that, are you talking like alien life from like another planet or some other star?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
But you
count that, and you would count that as supernatural.
I would think so. Because again, like, we've seen so many fakes that like I haven't fully experienced it myself. I haven't seen it. I haven't seen real evidence of it that I can reach out and touch. So it's just, for me, it's hard to believe something like that. It's the same thing with religion. I'm not a super religious person, so it's hard for me to believe something that I can't see right in front of me.
Okay. All right. So, but you're from Indiana. You're not from Missouri. Right?
I'm from Missouri.
Okay. No, just getting that in there. All right. So, I know I'm a dick.
Oh, that's all right. I love St. Louis, but
do you?
Yeah.
Do you?
Yeah, I love St. Louis.
Why is that, Wes?
Oh, that's where my hockey team is at. I'm trying not to talk about sports. I'm a big sports fan, but that's
hey,
all right.
You know what? Come on, I'll give you the gimme.
Nah, that's all right.
I'll give you the gimme that.
Although they do call people they don't like in Missouri, they call them Hoosiers, which is weird because like people from Indiana call themselves Hoosiers, but they don't. But they're not referring to people from Indiana. They just call people they don't like Hoosiers there. I don't really get that, but whatever. I'm not from there. Back to Missouri talk.
Hey, I had to. We had to sneak that in there. All right. So when you have used it, you said that you've done some research, prior to like a certain work, okay, and you were talking about like some of the mechanics that you might have to do to make that seem plausible,
right?
To have what you want to have happen in the story go the way you want it to. You did some research into that type of supernatural thing, right? So kind of what I'm interested to know is if you were to have carte blanche from a publisher, okay, they were going to pay you, all right, the money was guaranteed on acceptance, okay. They solicited it, so it's not like you're coming in cold, okay.
Yeah.
They want a supernatural novel. Doesn't even necessarily have to be horror, though you're welcome to do that.
Right.
They want a supernatural type of novel from you. Okay? So you get your idea, you start working on it, all right? You go to a con a month later, you run into Joe Lansdale in the elevator.
Okay.
Okay? And he says to you, you know,
you got to do the accent.
I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. All right. There's a lot of things that may happen on this show. This ain't one of them.
Hey, Wes.
No, not doing it. Okay. I'm not even gonna try. I'm from the wrong corner of the country for that shit. All right. So, you know, what are you working on? Quick before he gets off the elevator. What's his?
Well, Joe, right now I'm working on a novel called Cruel Summer, and it's about a woman and her young child, and they are constantly being abused by her current boyfriend. So when they take a trip to Florida, they decide they're going to kill him and throw him off a boat, but he doesn't stay dead. He comes back possessed by some sort of underwater entity.
Okay.
And keeps them basically trapped on the island that they're vacationing on.
All right. Neat. So, you seem pretty ready for that. Is that something you're actually working on?
Something I'm actually working on.
That's something you're actually working on. There we go. Okay. All right, so be sure I got this. Hubby's a dick.
Yes.
They go on vacation. He comes down, he begats himself some deadness.
Yes.
And he says, nah, fuck that, I'm too much of a dick to stay dead. Now I'm going to be an abusive, resurrected dickbag.
Yes.
Okay. All right, so, neat. All right. So you said that he's possessed by some entity.
Yes.
All right. Was he possessed by this entity before he died?
Absolutely not.
No.
The entity is something that reveals itself early in the book. Not fully, but you get a small taste of it at the beginning.
Okay. So he was just an abusive dick bag to start with.
It's something that meets him as he's in the throes of death.
Okay.
Basically.
Okay. And so this entity, if it meets him in the throes of death, as you said, and then what, like, takes over his body?
More or less, yes.
Okay. And as a resurrected thing, is he working on his own willpower or the willpower of this entity?
The willpower of the entity. So he's more or less just a vessel.
So he's kind of like a husk, and he's just...
Yes.
Okay.
A little bit of his mind is still there, but it's more or less being controlled by this particular entity.
Okay. All right. That's kind of a neat riff on the whole zombie thing. It's kind of like a zombie plus a body horror kind of thing.
Sort of, yeah. I guess it is more body horror than I thought it would be.
Yeah.
Which is funny because I've been wondering.
Keeping his consciousness sort of in there.
Right. But it's slowly making him become what it is on land instead of in sea.
Okay. All right. So the entity has a desire to. I'm just guessing.
To be a little more worldly, I guess. Yeah.
A little more worldly. All right. So here I am. I have 73% of the earth to my own self because I'm this entity.
Yeah.
But I'm just not fucking feeling it. Right. I need that other 27%.
Exactly.
God,
you just had those percentages right off the top of your head. I don't walk around knowing the percentage of water in the ocean. I'm not that smart, guys. I'm sorry.
No, I'm just a fucking idiot. All right. So anyway, so it wants to take over the land. All right, and it's using this guy to do that.
Yes.
Okay. All right. How long has this entity been here?
Since ancient Greek times.
Since ancient Greek, specifically
Yes.
Greece.
Yes.
All right, so we're talking 300 to 500 BCE.
About that, yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
so we're talking 2,500 years, and it's
Absolutely.
never counted somebody that was dying.
It's just a matter of it coming back and finding maybe the right person, or coming back from wherever it was being held, or where it was hiding.
Okay. Okay.
I'm still in the process of writing.
No, that's
no. That's yeah.
That's
Right,
fine.
right.
That's fine. That's great, because see, this is the thing that's interesting to me. Okay, because I want to see if you have this supernatural thing. I'm the old mechanic.
Right.
I'm always going to be a wrench.
Right.
I always want to know how shit works.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I get something new, I take it the fuck apart. This is what I do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, you know, when I'm asking about this, you know, I'm trying to figure out, well, how does this entity do that which it does?
Right.
Okay, in the course of, you know, in the framework of this story. All right, so from ancient Greece to modern day, we're talking a span of 2,500-ish years. Okay, but it was held somewhere. Okay. Was it held someplace wet?
Oh, obviously, somewhere underneath water.
Somewhere underneath water.
It's a matter. It's hard to give.
It sounds kind of like Ryla right now.
Yeah. It's hard to give away what exactly it is because that kind of spoils it. But
Right.
it's a certain Greek god.
Okay.
Obviously, a water god of some sort. But it's
Right.
again,
I mean,
it's
we've
hard-
narrowed it down by a
Right.
lot of bit right there.
Right. Okay.
Okay. So. All right. So he's held by a certain Greek god that may or may not have a sphere of influence that includes water.
Right.
All right. All right. Because you know we want to keep it vague.
I don't think it's the one you're thinking of, though.
All right. Fine.
But that's fine.
And you know, held there, has escaped
Yes.
or was let go.
Right.
All right. I've seen this as a movie. All right.
Okay.
You know, something very similar to this
Okay.
as a movie. And now it's trying to get out of the water, to escape the water, to escape the.
More or less.
To
But
escape
yeah.
that. Does it come back to that god? Like, if I stay here, I'm going to get caught again. I don't want to be caught again.
Not
or
necessarily. It's just it's feeding off of this person's body to become what it is underwater now on land. More or
Okay.
less.
Okay. All right. And so, let's say that it goes on, and what is its goal to do on land? What does it want to do?
Again, that's one of those things I'm trying to work out as I'm working on the book right now. Right now, its main goal is to basically exact revenge on the woman and her child for what they did to him personally, but the entity possessing him also basically wants to be a fully formed version of itself now on land to further do what it wants
So
to do.
how does the wife and the kid, like, you know, it would seem that the desires of the original dickbag
Yeah.
were
We're still there.
right.
Yes.
But I'm saying, you know, the entity seems to have much bigger fish to fry.
Right.
Okay, you know, it has bigger goals. Like how is entertaining this, monkey, how is it entertaining that monkey's desires?
Right.
How does that assist its goal?
It's taking its time. It needs to grow. It needs to fully be able to become its full self over time. It's not something that happens instantly. So over the course of the book, he's slowly turning into what this entity is.
Okay.
And once it
and how does that transformation take place?
Just over the course of the book, it's so hard to say without giving away what it is.
It's a
It's a little bit of a bitch to describe what it, because if I was sitting here and saying like what he's becoming, it's kind of giving it away.
Right. So I mean, we don't need to know what he's becoming, but what I'm saying is, if this thing, this entity, this supernatural entity, okay, is changing and becoming other than what it was, all right? This is a type of process like a metamorphosis,
right?
All right. Now we see this in the natural world,
right?
With like caterpillars becoming moths and all that kind of stuff, right? But it doesn't seem like it was in any type of larval stage when it was in the water,
right?
All right, because apparently it did something bad enough to piss off a god.
Yeah.
Okay, was contained by a deity. So if it is going through a metamorphosis on land, okay, my questions are going to be, why hasn't this done that before?
I don't know if I have an answer for that.
Okay.
Really. It's one of those things it's more of an isolated incident in this book.
Okay.
I know it's not a sexy answer.
No, that's fine. That's fine. Okay? Because all right, so he goes through, we don't know why. All right. We can go with I don't know. That's fine. Totally fine. All right? But it is going through this, all right? And it's entertaining the desires of this monkey sack. All right?
Right.
This deceased monkey, okay, that is now in control of.
Right.
All right? It is entertaining that creature's desire for revenge when it essentially has, what is sounding like a setup for world domination.
More or less, yeah.
Right.
I think so.
So I would think that there would have to be something so special about that one idiotic, abusive dickbag.
Right, and I think that's kind of the answer, it's just that he's a terrible person, so maybe taking over that brain is a lot easier than taking over someone that essentially wasn't a piece of shit. Maybe taking over that person's brain was easier because they were such an abusive person that they were capable of doing terrible things, that maybe it was just easier to take over that than somebody that was good that's not particularly like that.
Okay. But wouldn't a good person also have the capacity to do...
they do.
Horrible, terrible thing?
Right, but then there's what's stopping you and I on an everyday basis from just grabbing a knife and stabbing the closest person to you because you're mad at them.
Paperwork.
Paperwork.
I mean...
Yeah.
I stab people with sharp objects kind of for a living.
Right.
For me to stab them with a knife, I mean, surgical airways, I can do them, but as far as people that aren't pieces of shit, okay, where you think that it would be harder for this supernatural thing to control a good person.
Right.
Okay? And rather than, because this guy is a piece of shit, it makes him more susceptible to being possessed.
I think so. I mean, I think anybody could have been possessed by this entity in the book. I think it was just, as far as the story goes, I think it was just an isolated incident. That person, and
right
place, right time.
Yep. The hero's a perfect storm.
Right.
Look,
it just happened.
Thunder.
Right, and it just happened to be that person who was an awful person.
Okay. All right. So, but now I'm interested in why you think it would be more difficult for this entity to influence or take over
Right.
somebody that isn't a piece of shit. Right? What would the main difference there be? What would be a stumbling block for it?
Right. I'm not sure. Like, don't they say that like serial killers have different types of brains, right? Like different like wavelengths or different thought processes. I would think that maybe.
Well, I mean, the amygdala. You know, they may have some problems with. I'm pretty sure it's the amygdala.
Right.
Processing different things, but you know, was this guy a serial killer?
No, not at all.
Okay.
Just
he was just an abusive piece of shit.
Yeah, basically.
Just a garden variety.
Yeah,
just a garden variety dickhead. Okay. All right. So, you know, yeah, brains are different. Brains are going to be different.
Right.
You know, I guess, you know, somebody that could be prone to violence could have certain pathways that are more readily acceptable.
Right.
You know, but you know, with all the neurons and everything in somebody's brain, if you're going to be taking over a brain,
right,
you know, and sending impulses down these neurons, you know, of your own,
right,
I don't think that'll be much of a challenge.
Right. Well, I think as most horror fiction goes, I think it's more interesting to see like an innocent be taken over by something, or even something like a child or an animal, just something pure and not terrible. But I think for this particular story, I think it just worked out better than this person was.
Okay, great. Yeah. So, I mean, the reason is... It works better for this story.
Right. It's what serves
in the way that this goes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
And that is, from a writing standpoint, that is perfectly fucking valid.
Right.
Okay? You know? Perfectly freaking valid. Right? So, when it comes down to it, the entity's doing whatever the hell you want it to.
Right.
Okay? All right?
Absolutely.
Because, so, you know, I'm just sitting here trying to figure out, you know, if this thing, you know, pretending that this thing was real, pretending that this thing, you know, that I was in the story, and having to negotiate this. Okay?
Okay.
You know, I always want to know how things work. I want to know how it goes together.
Right.
Okay? So if the answer is because I'm writing it this way because it's a better story, that is fucking tits. That is absolutely
right.
Probably the best answer I could get from it.
Right. And that's pretty much what it was, yeah.
Okay. So if this story, that, you know, if this follows to its logical conclusion, okay, what would be a logical conclusion from this?
For, like, you want to know what the end of the book is?
I want to know, I don't necessarily want to know what the end of the book is. I want to know, follow to the logical conclusion, what this entity will do.
Well,
where you know, because it has motivations, it has goals, it has needs. Okay? How is it meeting these needs? How is it going to go about accomplishing its goals?
Fully forming itself using this human's body to realize its full form. Obviously,
I keep thinking of that chick in the fucking McDonald's. You never seen that video? Katie, have you seen that?
What is it?
The chick in the McDonald's where she's like freaking out over the freaking nuggets. You haven't even seen my final form. Like she's losing her fucking shit. Oh my god! Somebody find this. Oh my god! Oh my god! It's hilarious.
Holy shit! Unless you're speaking McNuggets in my hands, I don't want to hear it!
It's 10:30 a.m. We don't serve chicken McNuggets at this time.
Yes, you do!
No, we don't.
Why not?
Because we do.
You know what? Did you just hiss at me? I did more than just fucking hiss at you.
Hey, you just get your ass out of the car. What's going on over there?
Don't you fucking run away from me, you bad move.
Man. God, holy shit.
Enough. Don't make me assume my ultimate form. I will fuck you up. Just wait. I'm gonna come in and I'm gonna wreck you. Get the fuck back here. Get the fuck.
we're talking about right now are things that I can think about to put to work out in it. But
Yeah,
it's
you know,
yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
You know, awesome. So it may feed off of the emotions of others.
Right.
Okay, but is it primarily off of that one guy?
I think so. I think it's feeding off of his emotions and maybe the fear of the other two.
But that guy is definitely dead.
Yes. Yes.
Definitely
yes.
no longer alive.
Right.
Okay. How is it sustaining the body?
How is it sustaining the body? Well, it's more or less breaking his body down to make it become his, like the entity's form. So the entity, he's becoming physically the entity. The entity is changing his body to become what he is, what the entity actually is itself.
But at the beginning, before that process really got going,
right?
Wouldn't there be a point where here we have a corpse, here we have an entity not at its full power,
right?
How is that? How at that moment is that corpse walking around doing things?
Supernatural, baby. Magic.
Fucking magic.
Magic.
Fucking magic. Okay. Go.
Book magic.
Book fucking magic. Solid fucking copy.
Right.
Okay. All right. Totally cool. Totally cool. Totally fine. Totally fine. Because if that's the answer, that's what I want to know.
Yeah.
That's what I want to know. All right. So we'll just take that as it is.
Okay.
Okay. All right. However that is going, you know, whatever, you know, abra fucking cadabra is going on. All right. Dude man is walking around being, you know, even more of a dickbag as he is experiencing the dickbaggedness. The entity says num 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 and feeds off of the negative emotions.
Right.
Right? Do I got that?
That sounds about right.
Okay. Okay. All right. So when it has its final form, okay?
Okay.
When it has its final form, what is going to be able to keep the balance? Or is that, or are we talking
something
like an apocalyptic type of...
No. Something in particular happens to another character in the book that causes that something happens later to the young boy in the book that's basically the balance of what can possibly
So another
stop.
supernatural type of thing? Another entity?
Yes.
A counter entity?
Yes.
All right, so like a yin yang kind of...
Yes, more or less, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So here comes the paladin, you know. All right, so it's a D&D reference. Fuck
Lost.
No, so you know, here comes the the pure good guy is gonna offset, right? So you're gonna make a dichotomy there.
Basically, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, and they're going to have some type of conflict or something at the end.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. So who wins? Who gives a shit? At this point, you know that isn't even really the interesting thing.
Right.
Does the other entity have the same mechanisms as the one that we've been focusing on?
In a sense, yeah, but it's not. See, again, it's hard to give it away. I see it in my head right now as I'm looking at you, but it's hard to speak it. It's going to use the boy to give itself form in a bigger physical sense, but in a different manner.
Okay, so they're not like two halves of a whole. You know, it's not like a matter antimatter.
Right. Right.
It works kind of the same, but in a different way. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, more or less. It's not going to physically change the boy more or less as it is using the boy's emotions as well to create its own form to be able.
Okay, so what is it about emotions that these entities, this class of entities finds so compelling? find so useful.
It's just human emotion in general is a powerful thing, you know, fear and hate and I think they can do a lot of things. They can change people and I feel like that's emotions in general would be a good way to help any supernatural entity feed in a sense.
Okay, all right.
You would think like.
But why not the emotions of other creatures? What about human emotions make them special?
Because I think that's a good question.
Because if we're going to go by brain power,
yeah.
you know, if we're going to be going by brain power, I mean, the water entity, okay, I mean, it has access to orca, dolphins, whales. There's a lot of smart critters in the sea, right? And you know, with social species, you're going to have social structures.
Right.
There's going to be emotions,
but not all of them can be on land.
Not all of them can be on land, but it can't be on land without taking over a fucking primate.
Right.
So, you were trying to give yourself an out there. That wasn't.
No. It's
that wasn't going to work.
Right. I think it's just it was just for the story itself. It's just right place, right time. Unfortunately for this character, but
okay.
As far as like feeding off the emotions, I would think that like I feel like I think our emotions.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, what about human emotions over any other? There's millions of other species to choose from. Why do these entities care so much about human emotions?
Because I feel like they're probably more complicated than maybe animal emotions would be. I feel like, I know animals can fear and lust as well, but I feel like maybe our brain power is obviously our brain power is much higher than most animals, and we're able to create and build. And I feel like our emotions would be maybe a higher level.
Okay, but to that, is that because of our brains, or is it because of our brains with a body that can do it?
Yeah, that obviously that it's
okay because we know that elephants can create. We know that elephants can think abstract, all right, and have painted shit with their trunks, right? They're just not very well equipped, with little fingers to get in and make cute little things, and I mean, make a smart raccoon. I mean,
we've seen that in the Marvel movies.
Right, there you go. That has a body that can actually interact with the world better, at least here on land.
Right.
Okay? Now, going back to the sea where this thing came from, dolphins manipulate in their environment just fucking fine.
Right.
Okay? You've seen the gang of teenage dolphins running around grabbing a puffer fish, getting high, and passing it back and forth from each other.
I have not seen that.
You need to see that.
Okay.
Yeah, because they pick up puffer fish and get a dose of puffer toxin, right? They get a little buzzed, and then they pass it on to the next guy.
Really?
Yeah, they're passing the puffer fish around like they're smoking a joint.
I've never heard of that.
No, it's fucking fascinating.
Bizarre.
No, it's fucking amazing. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
No, I'm gonna have to check that out.
Yeah, no.
I've never even heard of that.
Yeah. Katie.
Yeah.
When attacked, pufferfish release a neurotoxin. In high doses it can kill, but in small doses it has a narcotic effect. It seems to be affecting the dolphins. They appear totally blissed out by the whole experience. And remarkably, all take turns in passing the puffer around. This is the first time that apparent recreational drug use has been documented in dolphins.
I think at the end of the day, when you're writing any sort of supernatural fiction, you're gonna take what you have available, but it's as far as research, but you're going to make it your own. You have to make it your own. You have to make it interesting. You have to
absolutely.
You have to make it entertaining for the reader, even if it's not going to make 100% sense to a T.
Right.
It needs to work within the story, and that's again, that's one of those things with the novel that we're talking about right now. I'm very early in the process.
You need to set up the world
right.
so this kind of flies in with
right.
it, right? So it has to stay consistent unto itself within the confines of the story.
Exactly.
All right, but when you look at it from outside the story, when you look more analytical at it.
Right. I mean, you could nitpick. Right, you could nitpick any thing. You could nitpick any movie or book that you want to, and you're going to find plot holes the size of the Grand Canyon in there. But I think
if you understand what those holes are, you can drive the bus through them.
Right. That's a perfect way of saying it. Right.
All right. So this that we've been talking about, all right, it's in the process of being done. Does it have a home yet?
No, not right now. I'm about 20,000 words in.
Okay.
So, yeah.
All right. So what was the last thing that we're going to be getting close to wrapping up here.
Okay.
So why don't we take a moment? Let us know where can people find you? Where can people find your work? What do you have coming out? What's on the horizon? What's going on in Westland?
Yeah. You can find
aside
me
from the St. Louis Blues.
Well, they are the Cup champions this year.
They are the Cup champions.
I know you guys don't want to hear about sports. I'm sorry. I try really, really hard on social media not to talk about sports, and I know even 6 months ago I spent too much time talking about them, but I kind of really tried to hold back on that because I know most people don't care. Unless they do care, but most don't care. But you can find me online, obviously, at Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I have my website, wesleysouthard.com.
Are you on Twitter as
at Wes Southard, I think, and then Wesley Southard on Facebook. I'm easy to find.
There's no T in there, right?
No, definitely no.
Don't spell it like you're at
T.
Starbucks.
Yeah, definitely no T.
All right. So what's this?
That's my newest book that just came out a few weeks ago. Actually, One for the Road.
One for the Road.
From Deadite Press.
See, there's no fucking T in there.
There's no T. We're actually brothers in press now.
Yeah. Because this is Deadite.
Yes.
Yeah, Deadite Press. One for the Road. All right. Little thing. Little trade paperback.
Yep.
Okay. We have some other things here. Let's talk about those other things. Closing costs.
Yes, that was my release last year. That's, I would say...
Yep, I can frame things. I can do it.
It's a pretty cover. From author Robert Ford did the cover for that one.
Yeah, that looks like a Bob cover, honestly.
Yeah. That's the one I usually point to people if they're wanting to check out my work. That's been one of my favorite books.
So start here.
I would say, it's more straightforward horror than One for the Road. One for the Road it's horror definitely, but it's pretty wacky. It's very once it gets going, it's very over the top and with a very tinge of bizarro to it almost. It's pretty out there. But I would say if you're looking for something a little bit more straightforward horror, then definitely Closing Costs.
This guy came up during our conversation.
Yes.
The Betrayed. And
yes.
This was your first novel. Right?
That was my first.
That was your first novel, right? The Betrayed.
Yes.
All right. Available at finer bookstores everywhere. All right. Still no T. And unlike somebody's first book that I can mention, and probably will later on this one actually has page numbers.
Who's didn't have page numbers?
Right.
Which one? Which one?
We'll talk about
it. Okay.
All right.
That's funny.
Well, got any last words for him?
I just I don't know, man. I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to do this with you.
Yeah. That was cool.
If anybody wants to meet me in person, I've been doing a lot of book signings.
Yeah.
Mostly here in the area, but I'm trying to get out of PA to do signings. But I've got stuff signed up for Scares of Care weekend.
I was saying you're going to be busy in August.
Yeah, August is really busy.
Yeah, because you got
Scares of Care weekend in Williamsburg, Virginia.
Yeah, you got the
2 weeks after that at KillerCon in Austin, Texas.
Okay.
And then the week after that in Gettysburg.
Yeah.
Gettysburg, right?
Gettysburg.
How they say it?
Gettysburg,
not Gettysburg.
Gettys. No.
Yes, okay.
No.
Not like Getty Lee.
No.
Or like Geddy Lee, right?
It's
okay.
more like, like Gettys.
Gettys, okay. Gettysburg at, what is it? Creature Feature Weekend. I'll have a table.
That's at the end of August. Scares at the beginning, and then you're going to be out in Austin.
Yep, okay. Absolutely.
So and you're going to be at the you're going to the Lansdale bit there, is that?
No, I'm not going to that. I don't unfortunately have the time for that one. I'd like to, but yeah. I gotta fly back that night, so I won't be able to stay over for that.
Oh, fuck that.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I gotta work.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for coming by. It was great.
Thanks for having me.
Have fun. And that's it. Take it easy. Right, there we go. And we're going to edit the fucking dog shit out of this.
Did I do okay, man?
You did fine, man.
I felt like I was struggling